What you doing up there? Don't go in that door. Don't. Mario, I swear Fucking furry.
Hey, it's your pal Palamation, and today we're going to talk about Mario's NES years. As stated in my video on the arcade era, I'm only going over the mainline Mario games, the RPG spin-offs, and whatever weird ones I just feel like throwing in. So don't expect to see titles like Wrecking Crew here. I actually grew up with the Super Mario All-Stars versions of these games, but I'll stick to the original versions for this video. Well, for the most part anyway. You'll see what I mean in a bit. With that being said, let's go!
Alright, Bowser, you ready?
I mean, he looks pretty damn ready. It's
You mess with the Wii, you get the G! No!
Oh, up the
I almost
butt.
had it too.
What does that even mean?
What?
You mess with...
The Wii, you get the G.
What? Did he mess with... Did he mess with your wiener?
It's whatever you want it to be.
Luigi, did Bowser touch you?
I'm not supposed to talk about it.
Super Mario Bros. Was designed by Shigeru Miyamoto and Takashi Tezuka, and is arguably the most impactful and well-known video game ever made. It's often cited as the game that saved the industry after the video game crash of 1983, a crash that was a result of oversaturation from everyone and their grandma making games and consoles. This game not only popularized side-scrolling platformers, but created a blueprint for several games to follow, such as making soundtracks a core element in video games. While previous games like Donkey Kong and the arcade Mario Bros. Did well in their own right, Super Mario Bros. Is what launched Mario into superstardom and made him a titan in the gaming world. Funnily enough though, the game wasn't initially designed with Mario in mind. The game was designed to be a culmination of the team's experience with previous games such as Excitebike and Devil World. Though Miyamoto made Mario, it was actually Tezuka who suggested using him, as the arcade Mario Bros. Was still selling considerably well. The level design for the game was based around a small Mario, with intent to make him bigger in the final version. The team decided to be fun to let Mario grow via power-up, however. This led to creating the Super Mushroom, which is where the Super in Super Mario Bros. Comes from. The team created the level designs by using graph paper and coloring in the spaces that would become the sprite work, which honestly looks pretty dang fun to make. Maybe they should make a game based around this. The first level, World 1-1, was specifically designed to naturally teach the player how to play without the need of a tutorial, a tactic that more games really need to pick up on. An example of this being making the first mushroom hard to dodge so the player knows that shrooms are friends. Don't let Dare see this though. Miyamoto explains that he wanted World 1-1 to help players gradually and naturally understand what they're doing. The development team, when designing the game, only had so much space to work with, so they used clever tricks like making the clouds and bushes the same sprite, just colored differently, as well as giving warp pipes and Mario being damaged the same sound effect. This game introduced too many mainstays to the Mario series to list here. Some of the big ones, however, being Power-Ups, Koopas, Goombas, King Koopa, and Princess Toadstool. King Koopa's name was translated as Bowser in the English game manual, but Princess Toadstool wouldn't be called Peach for some time. Miyamoto initially designed Bowser to be an ox, taking inspiration from the Ox King, a character from the 1960 animated film Alakazam the Great. Tezuka noted his design looked more akin to a turtle though, so the two worked together to create the final design. The music used for the first level of the game soon became the main theme for the Super Mario series, and helped launch composer Koji Kondo to the legendary status he holds today. That's enough on the game's creation though, let's talk about how it plays. Super Mario Bros. Is well known for having very tight controls. Jumping around as Mario feels better than ever, and when you die, it's usually harder to blame it on something else, unless it's on those damn springs. Could never quite figure out the timing on those, but I found mashing the jump button works pretty well. One of the greatest additions to the game would be the introduction of the Fire Flower, a power-up that allows you to use fireballs to destroy all those who block your path. Well, most of them anyway. Get a star, however, and you'll be granted a brief invincibility, and anyone you touch will be obliterated. The game does great at creating a wide variety of level designs with what limited memory it had, and the game's difficulty increases at a decent rate throughout. Unless you use the hidden warp pipes to skip some worlds, then you might notice some difficulty spikes. My biggest gripe with this game is the extra life system. If you get a game over, you have to start back at World 1-1. Thankfully, you can restart at the beginning of whatever world you're on if you just hold A and press the start button at the title screen. I'm not a big fan of extra lives, as redoing parts you've already proved you can do is always annoying and can really cause people to just give up. It's hard to gripe on it too much though, as it's more just a product of its time. Another problem is the hitboxes. They always seemed a bit off at times, and I would find myself getting hurt when I swear I hit the enemy. Besides that slight issue, it's a stellar game with great controls and level design that was truly revolutionary. This game is the king of classic games, and countless people are still playing it to this day. It's just that good. Alright, bye Bowser. Oh my god, damn it. Oh, I survived! Oh shit! Oh! Oh my goodness. Oh, I thought I died. Holy crap. Oh, it's amazing. Super Mario Bros. Is unique as it technically has 2 direct sequels. We'll start with the Japanese sequel, Super Mario Bros. 2, or well, Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels for us in America. For convenience sake, I'm just gonna keep referring to this as the Lost Levels. This game marked the directorial debut for Tezuka, as Miyamoto was busy with other projects such as Zelda, but he still lent a hand as a designer for the game. Tezuka felt that Japanese players had already mastered the original Super Mario Bros., so he wanted to create an even more challenging sequel. Nintendo developed a version of the original Super Mario Bros. For their arcade machine called the Versus system. This version included levels not present in the original with an even higher difficulty. The development team enjoyed these new levels and used them as a basis for the Lost Levels, even using stages directly from Versus Super Mario Bros. Howard Phillips, a man Nintendo of America president Minoru Arakawa trusted to evaluate Nintendo games, deemed the game too hard for American audiences. Due to this, he believed the game wouldn't sell well, despite the original being a great success. Phillips is quoted as saying, "This was not a fun game to play. It was punishment, undeserved punishment." Because of this, the Lost Levels wouldn't be released in America until the 1993 Super Nintendo title Super Mario All-Stars. The US would instead get its own version of Super Mario Bros. 2, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. For now, let's talk about the Lost Levels gameplay. Not much to say here, as this game is basically just an expansion of the original Super Mario Bros. This time, however, single player is your only option. You can choose to play as either Mario or Luigi. Mario plays the same as always, but Luigi gets his own distinct traits this time around. He can jump farther than Mario, but has less ground friction as a result. This game introduces no new power-ups, but rather a poison mushroom. This mushroom will kill normal Mario and revert Super Mario back to his smaller self. As discussed earlier, this game introduces all new levels of even higher difficulty. To my surprise, I actually had fun with the levels in this game. Several levels required me to find the correct pipe, discover hidden blocks, or find a secret vine to clear the stage. This really added some fun variety to the level design. One of my favorite levels was World 7-3, a level with springs that shot you high in the sky and you had to correctly guess where you would land while fighting back harsh winds. Each correct landing gave me a sense of accomplishment, and this level stands out as one of the most unique. Unlike the previous game, Lost Levels didn't seem to get harder as you progressed. Each level was just difficult, with random ones being especially hard. If you beat each level without skipping any, which you're better off avoiding warp pipes anyways, as some will just send you backwards, then you'll unlock World 9, a world where you get 1 life and must traverse through 4 trippy levels on an infinite loop until you die or progress to World A. Worlds A through D are bonus worlds that are only accessible if you beat the game 8 flippin' times, which I didn't feel like doing, so I just beat the Super Mario All-Stars version where you only had to beat the game once. I actually had to beat the game 3 times to show off everything, as I forgot how to unlock the bonus worlds, so yeah, you're welcome. I actually enjoyed the difficulty in this game, but some Leaps of Faith just seemed unfair, and the means to unlock worlds A through D was just obnoxious. Seriously, you're better off just playing the All-Stars version.
Do you think our neighbors can hear us?
I hope so.
Damn it, I did what you did.
Yeah, it's not so easy, is it?
Oh, you're dead, Toad. I'm gonna kill you. Oh, I got a bomb for you. Got your name on it.
I have no feet!
Oh, your feet are
I
mine.
have no feet!
I have no legs. God, but I
I'm
wouldn't
so
give
sorry.
for your diaper. Please.
You wanna sniff it?
Oh, I hope it's used.
The history of Super Mario Bros. 2 in America is an interesting one. The game originated as a Mario-style prototype. It was directed by Kensuke Tanabe and designed by Miyamoto and his team. They wanted this game to emphasize 2-player co-op and use lifting, throwing, stacking, and climbing objects to progress through levels. It was originally designed to use vertical scrolling only, but Miyamoto wasn't a fan, so he added some horizontal scrolling into the mix. The prototype proved too complex for Nintendo systems to handle, so it was shelved, up until Tanabe received instructions to produce a game for Fuji Television's Yume Kojo Festival. They were to use the festival's mascots Imogen, his girlfriend Lena, and his parents known simply as Mama and Papa as the playable protagonists. The team continued work on the prototype by creating several levels and enemies and putting some finishing touches on the gameplay. The finished product was known as Yume Kojo Doki Doki Panic. The game had an Arabian setting and required the player to beat each level with all 4 characters to clear the entire game. After rejecting Japan's version of Super Mario Bros. 2, Nintendo of America needed a quick fix to ensure the Super Mario Bros. Brand didn't fall into obscurity, so Arakawa requested that Doki Doki Panic be reskinned into a Mario title. Considering Doki Doki Panic started out as a prototype Mario game anyway, the gameplay remained relatively the same. Items like the POW block were added in to give it more of a Mario feel. Mario, Luigi, Princess Toadstool, and Toad replaced Imogen, Mama, Lena, and Papa respectively. This marked Toadstool's and Toad's debut as playable characters. The requirement of beating every level with each character was removed, and the option to run by holding B was thrown in. The gameplay in this game is unique compared to the other Mario titles. Jumping on enemies enemies does no damage, but rather to kill enemies, you must throw an item at them or throw them at each other. Picking up and chucking things, primarily vegetables, is basically how you'll fight everything in this game. Despite such a simple way to attack, they managed to keep the boss battles interesting by requiring different strategies to defeat each boss, though the same bosses repeat quite a bit. Rather than Bowser, your enemy is Wart this time around, who you must defeat by throwing vegetables into his open mouth. Can't tell if this would encourage or discourage kids from eating vegetables. Each character in the game gets their own playstyle. Mario is the all-around character, Luigi has the highest jump, Toadstool can hover for a short period of time, and Toad is the strongest and fastest. Some of these traits, such as Luigi's flutter jump and Toadstool's hover, would stick with them for other games to come. When taking damage, you'll lose a heart and shrink if you're on your last one. You can gain additional hearts by finding magic potions in the ground. Throwing down this potion will reveal a door to subspace. Any grass you pull here will give you coins that can be used at the end of the level for a chance at extra lives, and picking up the mushrooms will give you an extra heart. You must throw down the potion in the right spot, however, to find the mushroom, and where to throw this potion isn't always clear. There are 7 worlds instead of 8 this time around, and most worlds only have 3 levels, with World 7 only having 2. Despite having less, the levels are much longer than in previous titles, and a difficult level can really drag on. If you run out of lives, you are granted 2 continues to restart at the beginning of the world, but once those are up, you have to restart completely. And considering how long some of these levels are, restarting from the beginning can be really discouraging. Luckily, you could skip some worlds via subspace world pots. Super Mario Bros. 2 is definitely the weakest of these titles in my opinion. While I enjoy the character variety and boss battles, the levels just feel a bit too long, and towards the end, I was just really wanting the game to be over already. With that being said, I still enjoyed the game's unique charm and wish the style would have made it into Mario Maker 2. Oh well, at least we get this version of Mario in the game now, so that's something.
Or like, not camping, I love camping, but day camp. Which is nothing like real camping.
Oh.
What?
I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it. Who can say where the road goes, where the day flows? Only time. And who can say if your love grows as your heart chose? Only time.
Super Mario Bros. 3 is a game many would consider to be the best in the series. While you have to wait to see where it stands on my list, I wouldn't argue against anyone who puts it at the top of theirs. Development of Super Mario Bros. 3 began shortly after the Lost levels in Japan, and Miyamoto returned to his position as director. The game was originally intended to use an isometric view, which explains the checkered floor at the title screen. This view proved too difficult for positioning jumps, however, so the game returned to the 2D side view present in previous titles. Some enemies designed for the game were based off of the team's personal experiences. One such enemy is the Chain Chomp, who is based off of a dog that used to lunge at a childhood Miyamoto, only to be yanked back by his chain. The Koopalings make their series debut in this game and are based on members of the team as a thanks for their hard work. Rather than being named after the team members though, they were named after famous musicians such as Ludwig van Beethoven and Iggy Pop. Years after the game's release, Miyamoto revealed the Koopalings to not be Bowser's biological children, meaning he adopted them? Huh, maybe not such a bad guy after all. Miyamoto also confirmed the theory that the game was nothing more than a stage play all along, which explains the curtains and some of the background details. The anticipation for the game in the US was huge. Information on this game was scarce, and fans had to rely on magazines such as Nintendo Power for what little info they had. In 1989, Nintendo made a deal with Universal Studios to allow Super Mario Bros. 3 to be shown in their upcoming film, The Wizard. The Wizard revolved around a group of kids partaking in a video game tournament. Super Mario Bros. 3 was revealed as the final game of the competition, and it gave Western audiences their first real look at the game. The inclusion of Super Mario Bros. 3 in the movie proved to be a win-win for both companies, as it served as great promotion for the game, while causing eager Mario fans to buy tickets in droves. Super Mario Bros. 3 follows the same playstyle of previous titles, while adding several new elements of its own. It's the first game in the series to utilize a world map, and included in each map are several Toad houses to stock up on items, games to play for goodies, enemies to battle for rare items, and other secrets. The levels and world maps both hide several secret routes that can lead you to rare items, such as flutes that allow you to skip worlds. Two lesser known secrets are the White Mushroom Houses and White Treasure Ship. White Mushroom Houses have treasures like the P-Wing and Anchor, the latter of which is used to stop an airship from moving around. These are unlocked on these specific levels by getting a minimum of the designated amount of coins. White treasure ships are ships full of coins with an item awarded at the end. To unlock this ship, you must beat a level with your coins being identical digits, like 11, 22, etc. Then your score must end with the 10th place matching your coins. So if you have 33 coins, make sure your score ends with 30. When finishing the level, be sure to let the timer end on an even number, otherwise you'll be awarded points that'll mess up your score. Instead of a flagpole, each level ends by grabbing either a mushroom, flower, or star card. Once 3 are collected, you'll trade them in for an extra life. Get 3 of a kind, however, and you'll receive bonus slides. Pro tip, the best way to get 3 stars is to dash at full speed toward the level's end and jump directly into the bottom left corner of the card box. Works 9 times out of 10. This game includes new gameplay mechanics such as sliding down slopes and the ability to grab and kick certain items such as shells and blue blocks. The level variety is expanded yet again, featuring levels that auto-scroll and several levels that require some figuring out, such as finding a hidden switch or traversing a maze. While I love these levels, they actually are my only slight nitpick with the game, as the timer doesn't give you a lot of time to think and explore when necessary. So if you find yourself stumped on a level, prepare to lose some lives before you figure it out. Speaking of lives, this game is far less punishing than previous titles. You get unlimited continues, and getting a game over will unclear levels you beat. If you're playing 2-player though, only your own beaten levels will unclear. Progress far enough in a world, however, and the game will give you access to warp pipes that will allow you to bypass several levels. It's not perfect, but it's a vast improvement over the previous titles. Bowser's Warships, as well as pretty much all of World 8, are my favorite levels in the game, as they are pure chaotic fun and create an atmosphere that makes me feel like a one-man army. The power-ups I find to be the highlight of this game. The Super Mushroom, the Fire Flower, and Star all return, alongside new power-ups, the Super Leaf, Tanuki Suit, Frog Suit, Hammer Bros Suit, and P-Wing. The Super Leaf gives Mario a raccoon tail and ears and grants him temporary flight as well as a tailspin attack. The Tanuki Suit uses these same abilities while also granting the ability to turn into an invincible statue. The Frog Suit enhances Mario's swimming while giving him a higher jump on land. The Hammer Bros Suit is pretty self-explanatory, and the P-Wing grants you unlimited flight for one level, then assumes the form of a regular raccoon Mario. P-Wings are typically granted to you by the princess after beating a world, and items like the Tanuki, Frog, and Hammer Bros Suit are rare to find, only appearing in a small handful of Toad houses and levels. Items received in chests or as gifts will appear in your inventory and are good for one use whenever you desire. You can hold more than just power-ups though, such as flutes to skip worlds, clouds to skip levels, music boxes for putting enemies to sleep, and hammers for breaking rock. I have a deep love for the Tanuki and Hammer Bros suits in particular, so losing them is always heartbreaking. The world map is fun to traverse, and I love the different themes each world had. Super Mario Bros. 3 is nothing short of a masterpiece, creating the gold standard for side-scrolling Mario games. So that wraps up Mario's NES years. While not the beginning of Mario, his time on the NES was without a doubt the most important. These are the games that made Mario the icon he is today, and created the blueprint for future Mario titles to follow. This era introduced several characters, power-ups, and series staples that still appear in nearly every Mario game to date. While not as easily accessible as the NES versions, I'd recommend playing the Super Mario All-Stars versions of these titles, as they are far more forgiving, add a save feature, and give a nice 16-bit coat of paint to the game. Or if you're playing it on the Switch, you can always just rewind or use save states. It's okay to use them. I won't think any less of you. This is only the beginning for Mario, however, so keep an eye out for my next video where I'll cover Mario's adventures on the Super Nintendo. Until then, it's been real, it's been fun, it's been real fun. Have a good one.